himself a chance as well, because I said before the show, before the game, if he doesn't finish in Champions League places, I think it makes it really difficult in terms of his position next season. If he does, it gives Liverpool a problem. And they go, well, oh, what? You have got money in the bank. You won the league for us last year. We won it once in 30-odd years. You've done it in 1 year. So they might go, let's keep him here. So, but if they don't finish in Champions League, I think he makes if they're umming and ahhing on it, I think it will make it go the other way. And obviously with Xabi Alonso being the elephant in the room. But they're giving themselves a chance. You can see this race here as teams are stumbling. Manchester United have got some tough games to come. Aston Villa, Liverpool. So who knows? But that was a big, big win for them, because what you didn't want as well, we can't see them there. Fulham would have gone 2 points behind them if they'd have beaten them. So it gives them a chance, that's for sure. What
do you think about that, Izzy? Do you think Liverpool stay in the top 5 at the end of the season? He keeps his job?
It's a good question, Peen. It's a difficult one. I think there's a zoom-out assessment that needs to be made of where they're at. You know, the turnover of players you're losing. Liverpool are losing Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson, so the squad's going to look different. New leaders need to emerge. Recruitment again. You can't shy away from the fact that the recruitment in this season, you know, 450 million spent on the players they brought in. Of course, unfortunate injury to Alexander Isak, hasn't been able to find his rhythm yet. But I'd look at Wirtz, I'd look at Ekitike, I'd look at Frimpong. They're players that are starting to feel it. So I think it'll be a really interesting one. If they do finish in the Champions League places for next season and, you know, a good account of themselves in Europe, I think the assessment needs to be they need to back him. I do. But I think there needs to be significant improvement in performances, also alongside getting results until the end of the season to make sure they're looking up, not down, in terms of the teams they're playing against. Because Everton, for example, team that, you know, point today against Brentford, chasing Europe, and the Merseyside derby comes at a good time for Everton. He will have a week to prepare for that, and Liverpool have got a potentially horrible tie against PSG on Tuesday night, where it could be really intense. You know, they go into that game in a Merseyside derby, we know anything can happen. A hungry Everton side, you know, they're going to come hunting for them. So I think it's an interesting context, but I'd be, you know, safe to say, in terms of my opinion on that, I think you need to be really patient in how it gets assessed, because I don't think Liverpool are the type of club to be rash about anything they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're not the type of club to make hasty decisions. And you said at the start of the show, you don't really like talking about the fact that Iran's not under pressure at all, because
I hate it.
If they do go into the top 5,
that's just how we are now. That's just how the game is. The managers can, you know, with no matter where the club, and you always feel with Liverpool, they have given managers, they always give them time. But as I said, I keep reiterating it, that, you know, Xabi Alonso is a manager that a lot of fans would probably like to see. But I feel that for Arne, he hasn't perhaps had, like Izzy just said, the opportunity to work with all of the players that he's brought in. And what if they were to make a change, somebody's going to get really lucky with this group. Now, yes, they need a bit more energy brought into the team, and how they're going to play going forward is going to be interesting. But there are a lot of quality players, and I think if you look at that 52-point mark, if Alexander Isak would have been fit, you could have guaranteed there'd be a lot more points on the table, because he would have given you a lot more goals. Ekitike got injured as well. He's been in and out of the team. So there are problems with the team, but there are also things to look at. And if you were a manager or an opportunity looking from the outside in, going, tell you what, then there's still some really good players. You know, players haven't hit the heights. Virgil van Dijk, big fan, been unbelievable. This year hasn't hit the heights. Mohamed Salah hasn't hit the heights this season. So a lot of players haven't gone and played to the level that they can do. So that's been the difficulty for Arne Slot. And at times he's took a little bit of stick, and his honesty has obviously provoked a lot of conversation with people. But I still think he's a very, very good manager, and also deserves a lot of respect.
I think there's a question on style of play as well. How do they want to look moving forwards? Because last season, the Premier League win, they were still playing fluid, almost heavy metal football that was ingrained in these players from the Jurgen Klopp years. And speak like that was ages ago, but it wasn't. It was soon. And I think that we've seen now this season, the stats back it up. They're not pressing as hard. And I think a lot of confidence in football teams comes from how they press. If they choose to be a pressing team, how intense are they in those actions? And that sets a precedent throughout the team. And granted, the amount of fixtures that Liverpool play, you can't be that high intensity all the time. You have to find ways to manage the game in-game. You have to manage week on week. But I think there's a question about how do Liverpool want to be moving forward? What style of team do they want to be? Because we've seen a transition in style this season. They've dropped off a little bit. They've been a little bit more passive, a little bit slower. And that's why we've picked out those clips today where they looked a little bit quicker in the attacking third, which looked a little bit more like the Liverpool we're used to seeing. But if Slot wants to play a more reserved style, he has to sell that vision and he has to show it in the remaining games this season.
You're right, because you can't have a situation... Sorry, Pink, go on.
I was going to say, let's have a look at those remaining games as well, because this is probably quite an important thing for Liverpool to have a look at, because it looks like they've got a really, really difficult run, especially when you're looking at Manchester United, Chelsea and Aston Villa all to come still, Jamie.
Yeah, they are games that you need momentum. That's the most important thing in football. We all talk about confidence, momentum, belief. You know, if you go to Everton and get a result, all of a sudden you start to look at Crystal Palace and Man United away. That's a great game to look forward to. But if you get chinned by Everton, all of a sudden all those other games start to look difficult. What you have got is to a certain extent for Liverpool, forgetting the other teams, is these three games here are teams that are in and around you. You can really affect it. So if you were, as an example, to maybe go to Manchester United and get a point, and then you beat Chelsea, beat Villa, that ends up being a really good situation because you took points off the other sides as well. So how you manage that. But these two games right now are so important. Once you get through them, a lot will be dictated to that by obviously the result in midweek. But I feel that Everton one next is going to almost shape the season for Arne Slot. If they can get something there, get a good win, and it's never easy, like you said. It's the first time they've gone to the Hill Dickinson Stadium, and it's a tough place to go. So they've got to make sure that they're bang at it, that one. Because one thing about Liverpool this year, and you know, Izzy alluded to it, they've been run over too many times. They've been outthought, outworked, you know, and that can't happen. That's the sort of game where players are going to have to stand up, and make sure you go up against those like individual battles and win them. And if you do that, the rest of the games pretty much take care of themselves.
But today, Izzy, Liverpool have proved that when they need a result, they can get one. And I suppose the performance that they put in today is something that they want to use going forward in these last couple of games.
Yeah, and I think today, I want to give Liverpool credit, but I also was disappointed in Fulham as well. And I expected more from Fulham. We spoke at the start of the show about Fulham challenging for Europe. And I didn't see a team today that went to Anfield who looked like a team who were going to go and play against a team, let's be honest, with Liverpool at the moment, a bit of a wounded animal. I didn't see a Fulham team that went there to run all over them and to bully them, because Liverpool were there for the taking today in terms of the context. I didn't see a Fulham team that kind of came there with that intent, and I expected more of them, and I think that kind of played into Liverpool's hands a little bit. But in terms of the result, the performance, we spoke about the goals, you know, it's a huge tick for Arne Slot, but the time now between what they've got 2 days to prepare, tomorrow and Monday, for the PSG game on Tuesday night, that's a tight turnaround for a game that's going to require probably 50% more energy than what they've expended in that game.
And the fixtures, Villa, I mean, just looking at it, just as it switched off, but Villa have got really good fixtures as well. But the fixtures right now, everything is just pressure. We've seen it with Arsenal today. Everyone thinks Arsenal are going to beat Bournemouth. It doesn't work like that in the Premier League, especially when you're getting down to the nitty-gritty. You need to find 3 points. The pressure is sometimes being the home team when you've got to make things happen. So it'll be interesting to see how all those fixtures pan out. But Liverpool got themselves right back in it today with that big result.